Mhm.
As a gentleman.
Yeah. And there are so many people that I heard say that. So many people
Yeah.
talked so
And
fondly.
just one other thing too, Janet. They have accused my attorney, Jeff Reichert, of perjury, which he was cleared.
That
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am Janet Roach. Welcome to Live Impact News, the afternoon version. I am back again today in for Connor Reel, steering this ship once again, and hopefully we'll get you through it. Lots of things going on today, but we are going to start off with what folks around here are talking about, or probably all over the Southeast, and that is the weather. The weather, the weather, the weather. And folks want to know, gosh, just how bad is the snowstorm going to be? Or is there any chance of it like going away? I don't know. All right, Hunter Forrest is here, our meteorologist, and he's going to talk about what the latest update is and what we need to be aware of and how this is all going to play out.
Hey guys, hey Janet. I do have to say you're doing a great job steering the ship.
Okay, thank you.
So let's put that out there. But the odds of this system kind of going away, very slim.
Very slim.
I would
okay.
say, yeah. But things have changed compared to the last couple of days. We've seen a trend of this low pressure system kind of going further off towards the north. So what does that mean? For us, that kind of means different precipitation types. So
Okay.
snow, mix, ice, rain, kind of the works. It's not going to be an all snow event for
Yeah.
us.
Snow is a
unfortunately.
lot safer than the
Snow-
ice, though, and
exactly.
the freezing rain.
You know, snow we can handle. You know, of course, if you get a lot, it's tough to get rid of. But the ice is much more dangerous. So that's something we're gonna have to watch as we go throughout the next couple of days. But as we take a look at the weather impact alert graphic here. So models have remained consistent on that winter storm developing, but not an all snow event for us here in Hampton Roads, but still likely to be a long duration event as we head into Saturday evening, all day Sunday, and then early Monday morning. Now, here's a look at the latest European model. So we're dry heading into our Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, but by the evening, we see some snow showers rolling on through for all of us here in Hampton Roads. So it's looking like we're going to start out as snow, more of a mix and ice down south for North Carolina, snow all the way up through central Virginia into West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, just a really big storm. Mix and ice down through the Carolinas into Georgia as well. And then overnight, we see some warm air sneaking in. Look at that. So so the green is rain, plain old boring rain. And the pink is more mix and ice. And then that snow is off around D.C., into New Jersey, Delaware, Northern Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia. But here we are seeing some plain old rain showers through, the eastern shore into the south side and eastern North Carolina. That sticks with us heading into Sunday afternoon, into Sunday evening.
Oh, still going.
And then as we head into early Monday morning, we could see a few more snowflakes trying to butt in, but not a whole lot. And then by Monday morning, this moves out of here. So what does that mean in terms of the snow totals? Remember the last couple of days, they were
up there.
They were really high. But because of these updates and the trend off to the north, and you're not seeing a whole snow event, that means, those totals are knocked down.
Okay.
By a lot.
By a lot.
So the euro now has come to, remember the last, the other day, it was, 15.
Double digits.
Double digits. Now it's,
I see
1 to 2.
2, 4.
And much less for eastern North Carolina. That's the euro. But more off towards, Tappahannock, Richmond, and West Point. That's the same type of idea with the GFS as well. More snow off to the north and west. But those totals are a bit higher, according to the GFS, because the GFS does want to have us be in snow for a bit longer compared to the euro. But the GFS still brings that wintry mix and ice to the area. But according to the GFS, we'll see that snow a little bit longer, which is why those snow totals are higher. But if we were to get snow in the beginning, and, say we got a couple inches, but then we switch on over to rain, it just washes all that away. So it's still going to be not looking pretty out. It'd be slushy, gross.
Yeah, nasty.
If you go from that snow to mix to rain. But also one thing we're watching is that ice potential, especially off to our west along that 95 corridor, even around Franklin, Newport News, West Point, Tappahannock. If you're closer to the coast, it looks like that ice threat is much lower or minimal, but a lot higher westward. If you're picking up an inch of ice, that's extremely dangerous. That could lead to, power outages, tree limbs falling on down, onto power lines. Roadways are, impassable. So this is something, of course, we're going to have to watch. We would rather have, a foot of snow than an inch of ice.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, that sounds like a lot. Some people might be thinking, what do you mean a foot? No, but ice is just so dangerous.
It's so dangerous.
You cannot drive in ice.
You can't drive no matter how good you think you are.
Exactly.
You cannot.
Sorry.
You can't stop. It's impossible. You could have the best four-wheel drive car on the market. But once you're getting onto ice, it's out the window.
Yeah, and we see all the video of the accidents that happen in other parts of the country and cars just sliding. Ugh,
exactly.
And you don't want to be one of those people.
You don't at all. So that's something we're going to have to monitor, over the coming days. That ice potential could be, extremely dangerous as we head into Sunday afternoon and into our Monday morning. But once the system moves out Monday morning, it stays so cold.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only going to be in the low 30s Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday. Wednesday will be around 41. That's still almost
still
10
not that-
degrees
yeah.
below average. And then back into the mid to upper 30s Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
And then it gets cold for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that melting could take a minute with colder temperatures like that. Like at least like if Monday afternoon we skyrocketed into the 50s and 60s, that would really help that ice to melt away.
Right.
But since we're only going to stay in the low 30s, it could stick around a little bit longer. And obviously you're not going to see that melting very quickly.
Yeah, especially on those secondary roads,
Right.
your neighborhood,
Yeah.
Be
So
careful.
definitely a dangerous type of situation unfolding here that we've been, talking about the last couple of days. But as, we see these trends in shifts with this low pressure system, it leads to different types of precip, and that's why we went from more of a snow event to more of now a wintry mix snow, ice, rain event. And we're seeing ice totals getting higher, but snow totals getting lower. Rain totals getting a little bit higher as well. But of course, this is what we'll be watching over the next couple of days, how this trends. Could we go back to where snow totals are a little bit higher? That's certainly a possibility. But as of right now, it's trending more north, which is,
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. So based on what happened overnight and it kind of scooted up north, could it scoot some more by tomorrow morning?
It
Could we
could
be
scoot.
talking about even, more warmer air coming in?
That's certainly a possibility. But it could also scoot further back down to the south.
Oh, okay.
It could.
All
It
right.
could.
Let's all blow up in the same direction.
Yeah. So this is just why we have to we just monitor, and you have to check back in just because things are always changing. But what you'll notice on the model snow odds is that those chances of, an inch to 3 inches of snow have gone down.
Okay.
Remember yesterday, the Euro GFS, Euro AI, all 100% in that greater than an inch.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah, those
now
percentages are
yeah.
down.
Now it's down to 60% for the Euro, greater than 3 inches, down to 40% chance with the Euro. The Euro AI down to about 70% chance. So it's not looking like we're going to have that major, winter storm, major snowstorm, like we were thinking in the beginning. But still could certainly see some snow, but with a lot of different types of precip, unfortunately. I'd rather it be an all-snow event.
Yeah, the
But-
kids would like that, certainly.
Yeah, but
We would all like that over the ice and the
Definitely.
mix and the yuckiness.
unfortunately, it's not trending in our favor.
Okay.
Unless you like cold rain, then that's trending a little bit more in your favor. But of course, as we go through the rest of the day, today, tomorrow, and into the weekend, we'll be keeping you guys posted and updated on all the shifts and changes that we've been seeing. But luckily, if you go out today and especially tomorrow, it's going to be feeling really nice.
Okay.
Especially tomorrow, mid to upper 50s.
Oh, that's going to be nice. Yeah. Okay.
So hopefully you can get out and enjoy it before you're kind of cooped up all weekend.
Yeah.
Um,
And then it's later on Saturday now. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have some things to run around and do on Saturday, like morning, early afternoon, you should be okay.
yeah, you can get that done.
Okay, you can get that done.
Yeah. If you want to have one day to hunker down, it'd be Sunday.
Right. So if you want to say, oh, I can't go do the chores because of the weather on Saturday, your wife's going to say, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Just get up early and get it done.
Yeah, you
Get up,
you'll
yeah.
have plenty of time to get what you need Saturday morning, even into the early afternoon,
Yeah, I bet the grocery stores are going to be kind of crazy on Saturday morning.
probably.
And Friday as well. So, yeah, think ahead. Plan ahead so you don't have to get out, because it does make me a lot more nervous when you start talking about ice and freezing rain. You don't want to be out in that. And then, it's kind of unpredictable. You might be in a spot and you're like, oh, it's just raining here, and then
Right.
go down the road around the corner, and all of a sudden it's a much different situation. I was in a situation, this was a few years ago, and I remember I was taking the Oyster Point Road exit. And so the ride was really good, from Norfolk all the way up. I get to the ramp, and all of a sudden I see all these cars backed up, and there's some ice on like the top part of the ramp, and no car could get beyond that.
Oh no!
It was and I'm thinking, how am I gonna go any further? So that's what I mean. It was fine right before that,
Right.
but when I got to that point, it was a mess. Fortunately, I got through it and got home and everything. Yeah.
I mean, luckily, when you were approaching that part of the exit, you know, people already found out that it was already icy and weren't able to go down. But I'm sure there are people in the beginning who had no idea and just kind of went on by and found out.
Maybe the hard way, and so that's why when you have that kind of a mix thing going on, just think about that it can be unpredictable in certain areas. You can't necessarily tell where it is from. You can't compare one spot to another spot because you just don't know. Yeah.
So I would say, if you do want to go to the grocery store tomorrow, Friday, get some good snacks, some soup, just so you don't have to head out, or you don't have to order in. And make other people
good point. Yeah, and find a good chili recipe and do that. Get the ingredients for chili. Tim Pandages, he makes good chili, he says.
He's gonna have to bring some in.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to hold him to that. Yeah. Gosh, Hunter, thank you so much. Thank you for keeping us updated, and we'll see what tomorrow brings, and
we'll
see whether or not there's some more warm air coming in to try to save us.
We gotcha. We'll keep you guys updated.
Okay. All right, we are going to move to Capitol Hill, Naya. I'm thinking we're going to go to Capitol Hill because the House Oversight Committee, they have been having a hearing, and this is something, an attempt to hold Bill and Hillary Clinton in contempt for not testifying about the Epstein case. Now, the Clintons did offer to submit statements. They said they would sit down with the chairman of the committee behind closed doors. All of that was rejected. The Clintons are saying that they're being treated differently than other people who have been given a subpoena, to testify, who were allowed to do things like that. And the chairman, James Comer, says the Clintons are not above the law. But on the other side of the aisle, the Democrats are saying that if there was a real interest in getting to the bottom of the Epstein case, then the file would be completely released, as the law states. So let's listen in to some of the hearing.
The gentleman from California is recognized for 5 minutes to explain his amendment.
Chair Comer, I motion to amend your amendment in the nature of a substitute to authorize the House Oversight Committee to do three things. First, pursue federal court action to enforce a subpoena against former President Bill Clinton related to the sex trafficking investigation. Two, require the committee to report back any resulting litigation. And three, direct the House General Counsel to represent the committee with the Speaker's approval. Now, I have, as mentioned previously, spent my career trying to enforce the rule of law. I started as an SEC enforcement attorney, went on to become a law professor. I very strongly believe in the rule of law. But the rule of law is not just about not having anyone above the law. It is also about not targeting people simply because you don't like them, or because they're in a different political party, or because they've done things you don't particularly care for. Going after an individual uniquely because of how they're positioned is also a gross violation of our powers and of the rule of law. And if you look at the precedent of how Congress has operated, we have three inherent powers when it comes to contempt. Inherent contempt, civil enforcement, and criminal contempt. Now, since we initiated criminal contempt back in the 1930s, we have rarely, if ever, used criminal contempt as a charge, and we have almost never leapt from civil enforcement to criminal contempt. The decision here to go from civil enforcement and to ignore that step, jumping to criminal contempt, is, in my view, a gross imposition, a gross abuse of power on our part. It is also counterproductive because if we launch criminal contempt proceedings, I think my colleague Mr. Biggs pointed out that we want the Clintons to testify. If we launch criminal contempt proceedings, we will not hear from the Clintons. That is a fact. They will be tied up in court. We have no guarantee that they will ever testify before this committee. Civil enforcement will achieve the goal we want of getting the Clintons out here before this committee. Now, I just think this is problematic. We talked earlier, Mr. Comer, and I still have not heard you to this point in time say anything about the Clintons defying the subpoena. I've heard you say obfuscate, delay, drag their feet. We've had 5 months. but at no point in time did they say, we're not complying with the subpoena. And to me, civil enforcement is an appropriate intermediate step. It makes sense because it allows a court to step in, secure compliance with the committee's subpoena in a nonpartisan, orderly way that follows the rule of law. Court would be empowered to impose fines and actual imprisonment if the individual or entity refuses to comply with us. If we break from precedent, this is going to start potentially a chain reaction of partisan warfare with criminal charges. That is not a road I believe we want to go down in this committee or in this Congress. I think civil contempt will achieve our goals, and it will do so in a way that is consistent with the rule of law. With that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. I'll recognize myself for a few minutes. The committee's consulted with the House Office of General Counsel as well as committee counsel, who have expressed significant concern with shifting from criminal contempt to civil contempt because it would likely result in extended litigation that would go beyond this term. As Mr. Perry said, a subpoena is only good for a congressional term. He is already 5 months past his subpoena. The Clintons have lawyered up. There's no question in my mind that if we do this, they will ride this out and hope that the House flips and that you all are in control and you all just let them get by without answering any questions, which I think is terrible. So I cannot support this amendment. I ask my colleagues to oppose this amendment. Chair recognizes the ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to support the amend motion. I just want to reiterate something I think all oversight Dems have said today is that we all want to hear from President Clinton. We all want questions answered from President Clinton. I don't think one member of this committee has stated anything differently. And this amendment is a way for us to secure compliance without immediately moving to criminal contempt while they have been trying to negotiate answering our questions. We can continue to let the legal process play out. Both the integrity of our investigation as a whole is critical as we move forward. This is an opportunity for us to get our questions answered from President Clinton. We will do that without empowering a Department of Justice that, quite frankly, has been corrupt and untrustworthy for many, many months. We should continue to negotiate and work through an established process. Clearly, there's interest to negotiate from the Clinton side. Let's hear from President Clinton. Let's support this motion. I yield back.
If I may, and with all due respect, if you want to hear from President Clinton, have him come in for the deposition. They've had 5 months to do that. For whatever reason, you've been unsuccessful. There's 2 more weeks before this will be voted on from the full House. We will hear from Bondi in between, and we will go from there. We expect to hear from Bill Clinton. He's not above the law. Mr. Walkinshaw is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of points. One, it seems to me like we made some progress in the negotiation to talk to President Clinton here today. You have acknowledged you and your team are no longer going to demand to be able to ask questions not related to Epstein. The Clintons have agreed to transcription of that conversation. So you could go to New York and talk to President Clinton on the date that you all set. That's ready to go. We've heard from Ms. Luna that it would be a bad look for you and the ranking member to have to drive to New York. They got airports there. You all could take a flight and go to New York and have the conversation. That would move our investigation forward. I'm supporting Mr. Men's amendment in the nature of a substitute, and you know, I'll share, I was a staff member for a member of this committee for more than a decade throughout the Obama administration, multiple chairmen of the committee, and time after time after time, Republicans who chaired the committee, Democrats who chaired the committee, negotiated with members of the administration or private individuals who they wanted to have come before the committee, negotiated the terms. Not once did I see this kind of leap to criminal contempt. It is not consistent with the way that this committee has operated. It is not necessary. Mr. Men's amendment or you and the ranking member going to New York and having the transcribed under oath conversation with President Clinton would move our investigation forward. Either of those are better options than pursuing criminal contempt which would not get us a conversation with President Clinton, would not move our investigation forward, and would not get the survivors the transparency that they're demanding. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If I may, Mr. Walker, to reply to that, one reason that your counteroffers today don't hold a lot of weight with me is the fact that we never demanded to their attorneys that we ask questions outside the realm of the Epstein investigation. That was never a thing. They have just made that up. So their dishonesty, we've already admitted one lie when they said this wasn't a lawful subpoena. That was in the letter from Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton to me. They said this is not a lawful subpoena. It is a lawful subpoena. Does anybody disagree with that? It is a lawful subpoena. So, number two, we've never asked to ask questions outside of this. And I'll give you an example. When we were negotiating with Hunter Biden's attorneys, or judiciary was negotiating, we agreed when Hunter Biden came in to talk about the Biden influence peddling and the money that they were receiving from foreign countries, we wouldn't ask about the stuff on the laptop. We wouldn't ask about the stuff in the suspicious activity reports about human trafficking and other things with Hunter Biden. We only asked about the influence peddling, which was what the investigation was. And it's been the same with the Clintons. So if their attorneys are trying to spin out with the media that we wanted to talk about Monica Lewinsky or anything else, that is not true. All we want to talk about is Epstein. That has always been the deal. And for them to say otherwise is a complete 100% lie by the Clinton attorneys.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Mr. Chairman, and I'm glad that the Clintons have agreed to have the conversation transcribed. So it seems to me that the only remaining barrier of the barriers you have identified is you don't want to go to New York. And from my view, this investigation
I'm going to New York
is important
this weekend.
enough.
That's not a barrier.
Go to the moon. Let's have the conversation. You can do it.
Chair recognizes who's next. Ms. Stansberry.
Thank you. Honestly, I just want to get some clarification because I've heard so many different things here this morning. So, Mr. Chairman, you just said you're willing to go to New York. In fact, you're going to New York this weekend. Is that correct?
The committee has released the emails, so
No,
you
I'm
can
just
see
asking
the communication
I'm not
between
trying
the
to be difficult. I really just want to understand. Are you willing to go to New York to conduct this interview and deposition?
With the committee, with the staff. It's not going to just be. We have negotiated this for 5 months, Ms. Stansberry.
No, I'm just asking simple
And you're
questions.
all
So
are
the
speaking,
question-
and
so
they've had 5
So
months.
is the answer a yes? It sounds like it's a yes. My other question for you is, so it's my understanding that you guys have received both correspondence by phone, email, and from a written letter from the attorneys from the Clintons offering to do this on the record with you, with the staff, with the attorneys. Is that correct?
I wasn't paying attention to your question.
Okay, we're here pursuant to a motion you brought for contempt, and the claim is that you have made reasonable accommodations and that they have not been responsive. But they have transmitted correspondence to all of the members of the committee, including yourself and all of the members, basically including a letter from their attorneys stating that they have offered by phone, that they have offered by email, and they have offered in a written letter from both themselves and the attorneys to meet with you on the record with the staff to give sworn statements. Is that correct?
We have
Just- it's
negotiated
just
for
yes
5
or
months.
no.
You all
Have they?
are trying to create a false
I'm-
narrative. You've had 5
I'm
months. You should have gotten to the Clintons
am
before the
asking-
contempt vote.
All I'm asking you is if that's true.
And if they weren't losing public opinion, Ms. Stansberry, they would be
But
defying
Mr.
this now. That's the
Chairman-
only reason there's negotiations at the last
But
minute.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just asking
They don't get
if
to make
those
the
are
rules. We
facts.
make the rules. The chairman of the committee, we make the rules.
But Mr. Chairman, is that the fact? That's all I'm asking. Is that factual? Just to be clear for the public, his staff are advising the chairman to not answer that question. Okay.
No, the staff said they couldn't understand what the hell you were saying because you've blabbered for 3 minutes, but go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, let me say it again. Is it true that the Clintons and their attorneys have had multiple conversations with you via phone, via email, and via written correspondence offering to give sworn statements on the record to you and the staff? Just a yes or no.
The Clintons said that we could take notes, Mr. Garcia and I.
But
The committee would like to ask questions as well.
Are you not in receipt of a letter postmarked from their attorneys yesterday saying that they would give sworn statements under oath?
Sworn, that's not a record.
You're not in possession of the letter that their attorneys sent yesterday to the entire committee.
What their letter is stating isn't what you're stating.
Okay, well, I'm not going to read the letter. We'll make sure it's available to the public.
Although I'm sure
But
they'll
in
make
any
sure
case-
anything's available to the public. The problem is they've not been truthful, and
But Mr. Chairman, the legal standard for contempt is non-cooperation. And so my question to you is, are you making reasonable accommodations? Are you cooperating? Are you in correspondence with them? And this is in direct relation to the motion that was made now for an amendment that essentially would use our civil compliance code in order to get full compliance from the committee. And you're saying you're opposed to it because they haven't complied. But I have not heard you lay out the case for compliance. So why would you oppose civil compliance?
Ms. Stansbury, we've been negotiating for 5 months. In the meantime, every other
But that's
person
not
has
the legal
complied with the
standard
subpoena
for
that
the
we've
court.
dealt with.
That's not the legal standard for the court, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Well, I see we have a lot of armchair lawyers here. I am not one. But Mr. Min, I do support your amendment. And I think that while the chairman refused to answer questions on the record, I think we established that there has been ongoing correspondence and that it does not meet the standard.
Ms. Simons recognized.
I would like to yield my time to the ranking member.
Thank you. I just want to clarify two things. The first is, in the comments, I know, Mr. Chairman, you had just discussed about not going beyond the scope of the Epstein investigation with questions. To be clear, though, during the Bill Barr, that you were not interested in, during the Bill Barr deposition, you did go beyond the scope of the Epstein questions. You asked questions about Russia and a bunch of other things. And so that has been that testimony was public. That has been a pattern that has been in the public realm. And so the reason the Clintons have pushed back on that is because you actually have gone beyond the scope of the Epstein investigation in depositions on this investigation with folks you have subpoenaed. I just want to be clear about that, because you just mentioned that right now in your comments. And the second thing I want to say, just to Ms. Stansbury's point, to reiterate, is regardless of when it was done, it's false to say that the Clintons haven't agreed to a transcript of the deposition. They have agreed to a transcript. They've done it and they've reiterated that position in an email that they sent today. It's a position they've made before.
Today.
To position, sir, I mean, obviously, to position that they've made before to your team. It's a position that they have made a few days ago. They've publicly said it in the press. In fact, it was covered, I think, today or yesterday in an article in the New York Times. And they again reiterated it during this testimony when you said that they've not agreed to. They've clarified their position. They are willing for it to be transcribed. I just want to clarify that.
Chair recognizes who's next.
I still have time.
Okay, go
If
ahead.
that's okay, Chair, I would like to use the remainder of my time and yield it to Representative Min.
Thank you, Rep. Simon. I just want to add a couple points here. First, I just want to note something that I think has been a little bit conflated today. This vote today on the contempt proceeding is not about whether Bill and Hillary Clinton were involved with the Epstein sex trafficking ring. If either or both of them were involved, they deserve to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The survivors deserve justice. But the vote that we are about to take later today is about whether the Clintons' actions in negotiating through their lawyers on the particulars of how, when, and where they might appear before this committee, whether that constitutes a willful defiance, and that is the legal standard, a willful default of the subpoena issued to them. And again, I want to point out that Chair Comer has repeatedly talked about negotiating for 5 months, delaying and trying to run out the clock. I do not believe that that is willful defiance of the subpoena. That's not just my opinion. It's the opinion of every serious lawyer in this space that I've talked to that actually knows this area of the law. I think we are going far afield here and going straight to criminal contempt. I would also just point out and rebut what the chair said about criminal contempt leading to the Clintons testifying here. If we issue criminal contempt proceedings, I don't know if you've followed how courts work. A civil enforcement of a subpoena can take place very quickly. Criminal trials will take a very long time, months, if not years. That will definitely run out the clock. We will never hear from the Clintons before this committee. And so I would urge you all to consider this amendment to the amendment in the nature of a substitute, because it will actually allow us to hear from the Clintons, maybe get the answers we want from them. And particularly since, Chair Comer, you've repeatedly said there is no basis in your mind. The committee is not accusing them of any wrongdoing. We're just simply seeking answers. If we want answers, if we want more information to get to the bottom of what happened with Epstein and this horrific child sex trafficking ring, we should be looking to civil contempt, civil enforcement, because that will actually get them before us, not criminal. With that, I yield back to Chair Rep. Simon.
I would like to yield my time to Ms. Stansberry. Ms. Stansberry says no. I would like to yield my time to the ranking member.
I think we've made our case. I think that we support the Min amendment. It's the right way to go, and civil contempt is the right next action if we're going to go in this route. Thank you.
I'd like to yield my time back to the chair. Thank you.
Chair yields back. They've called votes, but Mr. Biggs wants to be recognized, and I think we're going to vote on the Min amendment.
Yeah, I'll be pretty quick. So when you take into the correct legal standard, and you talk about willful and defiance, so you have a culpable mental state and you have the act. Mm-hmm. The act took place here when they didn't show up. That's the defiance. They didn't show up. Now the question is, was it willful? Well, the other piece of evidence you have that it was willful is they sent a little note saying, this is all we're going to say. This is what happened here. And that's the evidence. It was willful. They knew about the subpoena, because they negotiated with you. You even moved the time for them. They chose not to come. When you reissued the date, you gave them the date that ostensibly was going to be more convenient. They continued to say they were going to come, and then at the last minute they slipped a note in saying, this is what I'm going to say. I'm not saying anything more. That's the culpable mental state. You've got willful defiance. Thus, contempt is appropriate. And I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Very good, very good. The question is now on the Min amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. A recorded vote is ordered. As previously announced, further proceedings on the question will be postponed. Pursuant to the previous order, the chair declares the committee in recess, subject to the call of the chair. We will plan to convene immediately after the first vote series. With that, the committee stands in recess.
All right, so that was a lively discussion there about the Clintons and whether or not they should move to, the committee itself should move to criminal contempt versus civil contempt. And you saw there where Congressman Min had put forth an amendment that would avoid criminal contempt charge against the Clintons. He's saying that that's something that's rarely used. And that decision is an abuse of power, according to him, and it would just tie things up in court. And if you really want to hear from the Clintons, then a civil contempt is more appropriate so that things are not tied up in litigation. And then the Clintons, they say, have negotiated, tried to negotiate with the chairman and other members of the committee to submit transcripts, to meet with them in person in New York. Chairman Comer, though, insisting that they are not above the law, says that he consulted with general counsel and says that it should not shift to civil but stay with criminal, and that already 5 months have passed since they issued the subpoena, and he feels like the Clintons will just try to ride this out and maybe hope come November if the House flips and Democrats become in control. So it's an interesting case to continue to watch. Again, this is all over the Epstein case, and the Clintons saying that they had no knowledge of any of Epstein's wrongdoing. They have also argued that the subpoenas are invalid because they say they don't serve any legislative purpose and say that they did not know anything about Epstein's abuse. Now, the repercussions of contempt charges, they loom pretty large, and given the possibility of a substantial fine and even incarceration when you violate when you are convicted of or found to be criminally in violation of contempt. All right, so that's a case that we'll continue to follow and watch over the next several weeks. I want to turn to something else now because later in Virginia Beach, there's going to be a meeting of the Independent Review Commission. And this is a commission that was created back in, I believe, 2021. Now, I want to back up a little bit because it was March of 2021, and you might remember this case. That's when Virginia Beach police officer Solomon Simmons shot and killed 25-year-old Donovan Lynch at the oceanfront one night. It was a very chaotic night on the oceanfront. There were many, many young people out there. Other people were shot. It was just a chaotic scene out there. And in all of that, Donovan Lynch was shot and killed. A grand jury reviewed the case, and they found no probable cause to charge the officer who shot Lynch. Wayne Lynch, Donovan's father, he filed a $50 million wrongful death lawsuit in 2023. And the city settled that suit for $3 million. And then after that point, Lynch initiated the review request, this sometime like in March of 2023, for that newly formed independent review commission to review the case. And then city council voted on that, and the commission itself voted, and they agreed to look at the Donovan Lynch case. That's going to begin today at 4 o'clock. Now, the first thing I'd like to do is play a little bit of a documentary that I did on the Donovan Lynch case to give you some background. This was a case that Donovan Lynch is Pharrell Williams' cousin. He spoke out on this. This was a shooting that made national news. Donovan Lynch, a college graduate, entrepreneur, very well respected in the community. It was said that he had a gun that night that he was lawfully permitted to carry. And a lot of people believe that if he actually took the gun out, it was because the night had become so chaotic and there was so much going on. He might have taken it out for self-defense, and there's a lot of mix-up about the way the officer approached him. The officer did not have his body camera footage, didn't have the body camera on, and that was supposed to be standard procedure. So let's play a little bit of the documentary just to give you a little bit of background. And I spoke with Wayne Lynch today about what he plans to do this afternoon, and we'll listen to that as well. So let's first of all look at the documentary, a little bit of it.
We join with you tonight in celebrating Donovan.
Donovan is a gentle giant.
Donovan did everything he was supposed to do. He had no criminal history.
I can hear him yell, D, I'm shot. D, I'm shot.
I got called about close to midnight.
That's the last thing I heard from him.
Said he had gotten shot.
It's not Donovan. This is not supposed to be.
They got killed. How in the world he get killed?
I want to make sure he's the last one that gets killed down here at Virginia Beach Ocean.
I would never go there again.
That's my mission, my crusade.
And he had so much respect for law enforcement.
But unfortunately, we do not have body cam footage of this incident.
How out of all situations this one? No camera.
And it's very disheartening and outrageous.
Thank you, Donovan family.
My name is Wayne Lynch. My son is Donovan Lynch. Donovan was a terrific young man. He was smart. That's his high school number. Basketball is 42, football is 71. Then he went to California with 77. It was a father's dream. He was murdered by the Virginia Beach police.
Yeah, it was hot that day. It was about 88 degrees. My name is Darian Marsh from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Me and Donovan attended the same high school together. I was with Donovan Lynch that same night.
Did you talk to him that day?
Yeah, we talk almost every day. Just a casual hi. Be safe. See you when you get back. Call me if you need anything.
I really just wanted to have a good time. There was a lot of chaos going on.
Chaos when shots rang out nearby, quickly turning a night of fun into horror and disbelief, prompting Marsh and Donovan to decide it was time to head home. Disorder stretching over a few blocks around 18th, 19th, 20th Streets at Pacific and Atlantic Avenues.
Numerous shots were fired, hit approximately 8 victims. What you can see is we have a very chaotic incident.
I need to know where to send rescue.
Many different crime scenes.
I have a female.
We had a police intervention shooting. An individual was shot by an officer.
Multiple gun wounds coming in.
One gunshot wound to her back.
That individual is deceased.
And all the while, Darian Marsh says he never took his eyes off his 6'5", 305-pound friend.
First shot goes off. Like I said, I'm looking at Donovan. Can't tell you if the first shot hit him or not. And I heard the second and third shot, and that would draw me over to my left, and I could see who was doing the shooting at the time.
The only thing I know, he was shot and killed by the Virginia Beach police officer, and he had nothing to do with any of that chaos or the shooting or anything down there that night. He was on his way to his vehicle with his friend, in harm's way, and somehow got shot.
I can hear him yell, D, I'm shot. D, I'm shot. That's exactly what he used to call me. He used to call me D. So yeah, that's the last thing I heard from him.
Did you see Donovan do anything that would cause him to be shot?
At all. Besides, if walking to the car is a felony, then. But no, he did not do anything wrong.
The news piercing a father's soul who would soon find himself craving answers.
We do not have body cam footage of this incident.
In the absence of video.
The officer was wearing a body cam, but for unknown reasons at this point in time, it was not activated.
No body cam, no cell phone, no surveillance, no answers. Up next.
I remember when he was away at school, he would always come home and worship God in the service.
He was a peacemaker. He was a unifier.
Then later.
I said, you shot Donovan. And in his face, he was in disbelief.
What do you think when you hear Virginia Beach and toxic energy in the same sentence?
All right, guys, so that is the first part of the documentary that we did back in late 2021, just entitled Donovan. And as you can see, so many emotions wrapped up in that story. It was something that really gripped the city of Virginia Beach for quite some time. So many people were talking about it, and so many people were talking about the person that Donovan was. And now here we are 5 years later. 5 years later, and Wayne Lynch, Donovan's father, is still seeking justice. He did get that $3 million settlement from the city of Virginia Beach, but he still feels like the truth has never completely been put out there. And what this review board will be able to do is be like a second set of eyes that looks at the entire case. This is an 11-member board appointed by City Council. It does include up to 2 non-voting members with law enforcement experience. The board completed like some 600 hours of training prior to beginning their duties, including like a constitutional law course, education on police operations and policy, use of force, ride-alongs, as well as continuing education. So it's a process that's going to begin today at 4 o'clock. I did have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Lynch a few hours ago, and here's what he said about this process beginning.
It's been a fight, as I knew it would be. But Donovan has set precedents and standards now in Virginia Beach when it comes to policing the citizens of Virginia Beach. There was a real effort by all the citizens of Virginia Beach to push forward this review process. And it's finally here for Donovan to vindicate him completely.
Yes, vindicate him completely. What are you hoping to gain from this process?
Well, it's a chance for a second pair of eyes to look at the corruption that goes on in the city of Virginia Beach Police Department, because I can say that now because this is corrupt. It's plagued our communities for decades. Unjust harassment of certain parts of the city, mistreatment of certain populations of the city, unjustified killing of its citizens, particularly black and brown citizens, as a pattern across the United States of America.
Yeah. And so they will be able, go ahead, sir.
Well, in this process, I want accountability. Officer Solomon Simmons admitted to shooting Donovan and fabricated everything after that.
And you want accountability, you say?
I want accountability. I want conclusion of the Department of Justice investigation that's been on since the 5-year mark will be this March, and no update ever received. I would like some accountability for those actions or inactions that didn't administer life-saving procedures to Donovan immediately. That was not done. Donovan died 15 minutes after he was being shot and not taken to the hospital at all throughout the evening, the whole ordeal. Never.
Yeah.
There was a second officer with Officer Simmons that's never been identified publicly. So these are some things that we're going to be shining a light on. And also Dr. Darren Porter's report, my expert witness. He analyzed all the evidence that everyone else did and came with a different conclusion as a 20-year police veteran.
And he was with the New York Police Department.
He's retired from New York Police Department. You have his report, and I want to release that report as well.
It's been, many years, and I see the picture behind you. Yes. And I guess in some ways it feels like it was yesterday. Would you say that?
It truly does. It's agonizing to know what he went through as an American citizen. All his constitutional rights were violated. His civil rights were violated. And he was murdered. He approached Donovan from the rear without any notification that he was a police officer. He was not in his line of sight. He did not know he was approaching him. And within seconds, he opened fire. Those are the facts.
Yeah. I know you did get the settlement from the police department, but what did that settlement say to you? Was it any kind of vindication in any way or partial?
No. They shot and killed my son for no reason. They still have not to this day told me what law he violated. What did he do wrong? He was leaving the area of a gang-related shooting he had nothing to do with 7 or 8 other young people were shot. That's a mass shooting. He was fleeing the area, and he thought he was safe around the police because I'm a 40-year public servant. I work with the police department. So Donovan thought he was safe. He's seen walking along in one officer's body camera who did have it on. Officer Simmons' body camera was not activated.
Right.
Seen 1 minute walking without any threatening gestures or motions, and next minute he was shot and killed.
What will
And I need answers.
what will happen today? It's today at 4 o'clock. Obviously, it's not going to be the only day, but what do you expect to happen today?
Well, today is the first standard of the new pre-conference hearing. The normal review board process takes approximately 30 days, but since this is so egregious, it's been expanded. So this is the first step to present my evidence that I've just talked to you about. I have depositions from the police chief, from Officer Simmons, from my eyewitness, Darian Marsh, who was with Donovan that night, another young man that was there as well. These names have already been publicized. So these witnesses will be accompanying me when we have the second reviews. Now, this process is to see if we'll move to the second review, the full hearing with witnesses.
Okay, so today is to determine if it goes to that next step.
This is a pre-hearing, yes.
And you will speak along with in a attorney
I will be representing myself and my family and my state.
Okay. Okay, 4 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am.
I know when I did the story, I got to learn a lot about Donovan, talking to so many different people. Can you just tell me a little bit more about him?
Donovan was a father's dream. He was everything you would want your son to be. I can't say it any plainer than that. He was everything. He did everything he was supposed to do by the book. He was a licensed registered firearm permit carrier. He had his license in his wallet at the time. He was never afforded a chance to identify who he was, if he was a licensed carrier. So, but Donovan always carried himself as a gentleman.
Yeah. And there are so many people that I heard say that. So many people talked so fondly.
And just one other thing too, Janet. They have accused my attorney, Jeff Reichert, of perjury, which he was cleared.
Okay, yeah, so you heard there from Wayne Lynch. It's been 5 years. He could have given that interview 5 years ago. The emotion's still very, very raw, very, very difficult situation for this family, and he still wants to be able to have his son remembered as the person he knew him as, and wants to make sure that people know that his son was not down at the oceanfront participating in any criminal activity. So yeah, it's been pretty emotional, and I've talked with Mr. Lynch several times over 5 years, since I did the documentary. So today, as part of this process with the Independent Citizens Review Board, they will hear from the complainant, which is Wayne Lynch, and witnesses as well, and the police department. Don't know if you're going to get through all of that today. He did say this is kind of like the pre-hearing, but that is what will eventually go on. The investigative review hearing is open to the public. All of these are open to the public. And what can eventually happen in this process? Well, if the board, the commission, concurs with the findings of the police department investigation, they can advise the city manager that the findings are not supported by the information reasonably available to the department. So they could actually disagree with what the grand jury said. They could advise the city manager that in its judgment, the investigation is incomplete. So there are a number of things that could come out of their ruling and their review of this particular case. So we're going to be watching this over the next several weeks and months to find out exactly what happens. I will say that the Virginia Beach Police once told me about this case is that when it comes to this review commission, they are prepared to provide all documents, video, body-worn camera footage, but you know that the officer who did the shooting, his body camera was not on, but they are willing to provide whatever they have to the review commission. And then they do say that Officer Simmons is still employed with the Virginia Beach Police Department. All right. So, on another note, I thought it was interesting when you think about the case involving Donovan Lynch and Wayne Lynch, but this is something that just came up with the General Assembly in Virginia since they started their session on January 14th. They're considering a bill on revoking qualified immunity for police officers. So this makes it easier for officers to be sued if a citizen feels like the officer violated their civil rights. So the bill provides that a person acting under color of law who deprives an individual of such rights and any supervisor of such person who is responsible for directing or overseeing such person's conduct shall be liable to such individual for compensatory damages, punitive damages, equitable relief, and reasonable attorney fees and costs. So that bill right now is being considered in the House in the General Assembly right now. It's very, very early stages. Well, our Brianna Fallon, she did an interview yesterday with two officers of the Virginia State Police Association, Bill Carrico and David Oswinkle. They're very much against this bill. So let's take a listen to what they're saying about why they believe this isn't a good idea.
Well, I'll begin and then I'll pitch it over to David, who has the legal expertise on it. When the bill came up, one of our board members had sent it to us, and we were looking through the bills to see what all was affecting us. And we started looking at this bill and realized this was a step further than any state has ever taken, to our knowledge, in revoking qualified immunity on law enforcement, making them liable for things that they've never been liable for before. Supervisors liable for actions that they're not even present on. It does appear that there was a lot of parts of this bill that was kind of targeting the face mask, the unmarked cars, and so forth like that. But all the things that are within this bill really accumulates to a attack to defund law enforcement without lifting a finger to take a dime away from them. And we already have a recruitment and retention problem in the state police and within law enforcement as a whole in Virginia. This will have a huge migration of law enforcement if it passes, and will have a huge problem to recruit more qualified men and women.
So some of the core issues that I see with the bill are that it goes way further than what federal law would allow for a civil rights violation under 42 U.S.C. 1983. And what I mean by that is the inclusion of not only compensatory damages, but also punitive damages, which could be up to $350,000 in Virginia. And it also requires the payment of attorney's fees if the plaintiff prevails, which is also something that is a departure from federal law and is an oddity in terms of this type of legislation on the state level. The other thing that we see that's really problematic with the bill is that not only does the liability flow to the person who committed the alleged wrong, the civil rights violation, but it also flows to the supervisor who oversees or directs the conduct of that person. Now, under federal law, there is no as far as 1983 is concerned, there's no respondeat superior as a blanket application. Here, the supervisor doesn't have to be involved in it. They don't even have to be aware of it, and there doesn't have to be deliberate indifference either. They're liable just merely by the fact that they supervise that individual. And then, of course, everything that I just mentioned about compensatory, punitive damages, and attorney's fees could potentially flow to the supervisors as well. We do feel that as a matter of public policy, the bill will paralyze law enforcement. It'll cause law enforcement to not be able to be proactive and to be scared. And the bill also provides a number of enumerated things that Bill made reference to, such as crowd control measures, unmarked vehicles, wearing a mask, things that otherwise would be lawful, but in this instance could be aggravating factors in which the jury is required to evaluate in the context of an award.
So let me add one final thing, and then if you have any questions, be happy to answer. But we're an association that's been around for over 50 years. We represent the men and women of the Virginia State Police. We don't endorse candidates because we try to work with all political sides of the aisle. And so when we see things like this really raises a red flag for us that we're being targeted, and that we have to push back, and we try to get our men and women involved in it. And they have been writing and calling. But this is a very, very dangerous road to go down for legislature or for the Commonwealth. It will hinder the protection of their citizens moving forward if this bill passes.
There you have it. They are strongly against this bill, House Bill 1314. But again, it's in the very, very early stages, so we don't know what's going to happen with it. We'll just continue to follow to see if it makes it through committee and then to the floor and to the Senate, and just see what happens. All right, let's go to Uvalde, to the trial of Adrian Gonzalez. I'm sure you heard, this is the police officer who is charged with 29 counts of child endangerment or abandonment, and 1 count for each of the 19 children who were killed and 10 who survived in that Uvalde school shooting that happened a few years ago. Adrian Gonzalez is on trial. He is the first officer on the scene, and prosecutors say that he failed to delay or stop the shooter. Well, closing arguments are happening today, so we want to take a listen to some of that.
And watch him do this point. He's there. He's there. There he is. He had aimed him. He's pointing at him. He's there. And then they saw him walk into the building, so they leave. We're coming back to this video.
There's no evidence that's a misstatement of the facts, Your Honor.
No, it's not, Judge.
I'm going to object, so I want it on the record that he's misstating facts to the jury.
Okay, once again, ladies and gentlemen, let this say an argument's not evidence. If it differs from your own recollection or rely on your own, you may proceed.
It's in evidence, guys. I asked questions. I was very specific about questions. I gave people opportunities to talk. I wasn't trying to be a bulldog on anybody. Maybe you can think I was on Ranger Hill, and we'll talk about that in a second. But we're just asking. We were just asking questions, specific questions, not general ones. Okay. So let's talk about Officer Coronado, Sergeant Coronado. Adrian drove into danger. Sarge stayed away at the perimeter. Adrian, no line of sight. Sarge, same side as the shooter. Adrian, alone. Coronado has backup. Adrian, frantic witness he was dealing with. Coronado, frantic witness he was dealing with Claudia. Remember that? We're gonna look at the video again, and you'll see it. Adrian, unfortunately, and again, we're not ragging on her, okay? You saw me cross her. But she was wrong, and we'll talk about so many things that she was inaccurate about. A frantic witness that was wrong and inaccurate because she was on the wrong side of this issue. But the frantic witness, Claudia, the sergeant, on the same side, was accurate. Because you know why? Because she said, he went in the building. He went in the building. And you see the video yourself that they're acting like they knew he went in the building. Because you don't go from this, thinking you're being shot at, to this unless you know that the danger is gone and they're in the building. You saw the video yourself, and we're going to watch it again. Sergeant Coronado unfortunately drives away, not towards the gunfire. So now we're going to watch it again, but now we're going to focus on Sergeant Coronado, okay? This is him again. We already looked at Saucedo's behavior. Look who he's talking to. He's yelling at somebody, and that's Claudia. You go inside, okay. What? They're talking. She testified. I told them he went in the building. And guess what? He acts like he knew he went in the building. Because you don't go from ducking like that to watch his car drive off. Watch all of them. They all know he went in the building. They don't believe what they're trying to prosecute. There's no way. Our defense is not, well, if you're going to prosecute Adrian, prosecute other people. They don't believe it themselves. You can't. I'm going to go through a list in a little while of all the things that they're going to have to, Christina, with all due respect, is going to have to come up here and tell you to ignore to get to the man at the bottom of the totem pole. I'm going to show you that list, and I'll be right, humbly, but I'll be right. Where's Randy Hill? I know it bothers them, because he's the one dispatched. Why didn't they call him? Why didn't they call Saucedo? So we can ask them questions and bring you answers. The government has all the resources, all the rangers, this whole road. They have the whole government of Texas and all the resources to bring you evidence. And we expect that of them. Where's Randy Hill? Where's Mendoza? Where's Saucedo? None of them. The only reason why they brought Coronado is because they wanted that video in. He's dispatched at 11:29:36, 3 minutes before the shooter enters into the building. What was 911 told? That is another aspect of it, Bill. And Bill's right. I mean, he could hear. He's an intelligent man, and tremendous respect for him. But he heard our questions. I mean, that's a factor. We have to. If we're looking at the totality, what were they told? What information did they all have? Someone shooting a gun. This is what Mr. Limon is told, dispatch. They just shot at us. He's shooting at the school. That wasn't relayed to anybody. He's jumping into the schoolyard. Wasn't relayed to anybody. He's just jumped over the fence. Still wasn't relayed to anybody. He's running towards the school. Nobody knew that, but that nobody knew that includes Adrian. That includes Adrian. He's wearing black. No one knew that. That would have been helpful to know. But we know for sure, and I know Ranger Hill's here. He can come sit right here if he wants to. I asked him, you don't know, I know when he showed up on the scene. You do? It wasn't in your critical timeline. Well, it's in a different timeline that he gave to them, didn't give to us. Interesting. But so in his critical timeline that he didn't review for 3 years before he sat in front of you and testified to this, he said that that's all that's in his critical timeline. Not when Randy Hill supposedly showed up, because Randy Hill didn't check in at location. Let me know what's going on. Nothing. No communication. So all we have in the first critical timeline is this: Randy Hill at 11:33:32, just standing there. Setting up. Did you hear how difficult it was for him to try to make up an excuse for what Randy Hill's behavior was? Did you hear how difficult it was? Because you couldn't objectively do it. Not based off Nico standards or Jason standards, just training standards, tactics. I asked him tactical questions. How does this make sense? Well, he was just there momentarily. Where's that? I don't understand where you're getting this from. What we know for sure is that Sergeant Coronado is driving around the school, and there's Randy Hill. He's already out of his car. He's been there for a little while. I don't know how much it is. The ranger thought he knew. I don't know how. But there he is, setting up perimeter when nobody's asked him to set up perimeter. Oh, they said there's a dispatch, again, that we didn't get from an unknown person. Remember that exchange? Figure it out.
Again, object. This is misleading the jury, and he's having them believe that we did not turn over everything to him, and it's
Okay. But we'll,
Remember that exchange? I was just asking questions based off the evidence that we were looking at. I let him, what are you looking at, so I can ask you about what you have in front of you. There was no trick question, no gotcha. I told him I'm not going to question your character, but I will question your opinions. I'm going to question your investigation. He knew that. He knew that. He's coming before you after 3 years of all of this and the resources, 3 years, and that's what they brought you? That's the mortar to their case, Ranger Hill? Bringing it all together in his critical timeline? Well, where's Randy Hill? We all want to hear from Randy Hill. And then we have a hero, a true hero, Joe Vasquez. You heard about Joe. I mean, he gave me permission to call him Joe. He called me whatever he wants to, but we went through scenarios. We went through breaching. We talked about when you breach an outward swinging door versus inward swinging door. Well, what did Joe tell us? At 11:56:28, he linked up with Lieutenant Canales, who briefed him. Very different when you're being briefed by fellow cops after the situation has already been assessed. Very different, but they want to conflate that to Adrian. Well, they did that. They listened to instructions. They moved in. You have 27 officers around you. Everybody has guns and helmets and vests on and AR-15s and said, here's what's going on. And oh, yeah, of course they're going to listen. That wasn't Adrian. I asked if he wanted me to make entry. He didn't do. He asked. He understands there's an order. He understands the danger of it. We talked about the danger of it and fatal funnels, and there was two of them. There was the hallway, and then there was the actual doorway. We talked about that. Response, no, we're trying to negotiate because we've been fired at. That's what he was told. Waited with Canales for negotiating team and the TAC team. So a true hero. I hope you like Joe, because I like Joe. I mean, he waited. There was still sporadic shooting at times. We look at the timelines, the critical timeline that's kind of complete. But he waited with Canales for the negotiation and the TAC team. Should Joe be sitting in that chair? Is Joe a coward? Are board TAC a coward? Are all the other officers cowards? Eventually, board TAC showed up. It was a bit of a blur. He doesn't remember. A lot was going on. Then they had a planning. They planned the entry. How long did you wait there? I asked them that. They entered at 12:50:01, almost an hour after he arrived. So Joe Vasquez is a real hero. He thought his daughter was in there. Could have been in there because she went to school there. But he still waited an hour because he knows there's a pecking order. He knows there's a way. He understands fatal funnels. He said you're going to die at the door. That's what he said. We got that from Joe, not from us. And he waited because they were planning entry. Part of their training too. Waited 50 minutes, over 50 minutes. But board TAC was rehearsing and opening the door. And again, I'm not saying that's good or bad. That's what part of their training, because an open, outward swinging doors is difficult and it's dangerous. But they had the equipment at that time. Adrian didn't. The first 5 didn't. Taking cover is reasonable. Then we asked them about Adrian's behavior, because they didn't bring an expert, so we had to ask somebody, and we're going to ask somebody who's in law enforcement. Well, taking cover is reasonable if you don't know where the shots are coming from. From Joe, their witness. Containment. Remember I asked about containment? We talked about that. And he said, if those first 5 officers, we call them the first 5, if the first 5 hadn't contained the shooter, he could have done the same thing to the whole school. Think about that. When he didn't contain, he didn't do anything to distract or detain or to impede. That first 5 group held them in 111 and 112. And let me submit to you humbly. If it wasn't for that first 5, that person responsible, because I know I've called him an animal and I know I've called him a monster, because he is. You know, you get the point. But if it wasn't for that first 5, what would have stopped him from finishing off those precious babies in 112? Was it a distraction? He knew there was talking, there's negotiating, he's waiting for them. He wants to be a cop killer too. I mean, he wants to be a cop killer, so he's distracted. He's done damage he's done what he's done in 111. He did what he did in 112. But what would have stopped him to finish everybody off? The 5 outside, knowing that they could breach at any time. He doesn't know what they're doing. And he was waiting in that closet. He knows that closet, remember? 111 was his home room. He was going to 111. He went to school there. 111 was his home room. He knew that room. But even Joe Vasquez said, if those first 5 hadn't contained the shooter, and by the way, and I know it bothers them, Adrian's part of that first 5. And not that 3.5 minute that Christina's going to come up and argue, that minute and 48 seconds with no line of sight. Talking to the guy on the stick. He was talking to the guy on the stick. Remember that stick is the stack when they're breaching behind the shield? He said he couldn't hear me because I realized I was wearing a gas mask. He himself was experiencing perception distortion. He didn't even realize he had a gas mask on. There was no gas, but he put it on and he couldn't hear, and he's talking, he's like, oh, wait, what am I doing with this gas mask?
Okay, we're going to dump out of that for a little while because we want to go to a news conference with NASA. If you'll recall, we had some astronauts on the International Space Station and they had to come home early about 6 days ago because of a serious medical issue involving one of the astronauts. They're having a news conference. Let's listen in.
Kim. And then on the Soyuz crew and then we were part of Expedition 73. Then we inherited 2 Sergeys and a Chris. I don't know what the next flight's going to be like, but there's a progression here. But we really had a great crew across the board. Our part of Expedition 73, and then the crew that's on board as Expedition 74. And it was just really amazing. I salute my crewmates. It was definitely, Zena, you were right again. And it was definitely with whom you fly. I remember every day that we had together on all the amazing things we did. But one thing that when you first said it, Zena, I didn't fully appreciate, it's with whom you fly, right? Our ground control teams, how awesome. We had such the great rapport with all around the world. And it was great every morning and every evening having a chance to share that with the rest of the world. We were getting great science done. We were singing songs to each other. On Christmas, our flight director gave us some really great Christmas songs that were space themed. I mean, this was just a joy to fly, and not just with this great group here, but the whole team around the world. And we shared a lot of amazing things. Some of the things we did with science was amazing. The zero boil-off test comes to mind, or the stem cell research. Being up on board during a government shutdown and still everything keep going. And then the 25th anniversary of continuous human habitation. I was fortunate enough to be there when the space station was tiny. We only went as far as the lab. It was 2004. So not quite 25 years ago, but and then to come back aboard a space station that is so full with 7 crew members, getting some world-class science done, something amazing happening every day. What a joy to fly. We were getting ready for an EVA, Zena's first. By the way, she's really awesome. It was great to fly with you, Zena. She was a natural when we first got there. Oleg, this was his first mission too. What a natural. They adapted super fast and became incredibly productive crewmates. Kimia-san, thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
He used to thank us every day for our hard work. So finally I get to thank him for his hard work. It was a joy flying with each and every one of you, and we did some amazing things together. So I'm talking a lot, but I just want to say that when we were getting ready for an EVA, something happened. The team came together, and it wasn't just this team, but the whole team, like Zena said, around the world. And we were able to come home safely to our families, back to beautiful planet Earth. Turned into a fireball over San Diego, plasma everywhere. It was beautiful reentry and splashed down. The dolphins came to visit us, and then we were rocked. We weren't allowed to sleep, but we were kind of rocked very carefully by the gentle waves of the Pacific Ocean. And what a neat adventure it was to share with each and every one of you. Station is in good hands with Chris Williams and 2 Sergeys, and we are continuing on. And we got to see our Crew 12 friends that are going to be launching really soon. And they were there when we stepped out of the plane at Ellington, and it was really nice to see them. We were hoping to give them hugs in space, but we gave them hugs on Earth. It all works out. Space station is going super strong. I'm very proud of the space station that we built and what humans can do. But how we handled everything all the way through nominal operations to this unforeseen operations, really bodes well for future exploration. We're a well-honed machine here at the Johnson Space Center and around the world. So when we're getting ready for Artemis, I am very optimistic. So, sumimasen. I talked a lot, but go ahead. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. Yeah. Gina-san, also Mike-san explained a lot, and I mean, almost nothing to add, but thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about our great experience to everybody. And I'm so grateful. I was the member of this great team. And of course, we came back a little bit early, but we worked very hard, worked together and helped each other and also accomplished a lot. It actually not only our crew members, but also including ground, and also everybody actually helped us a lot. And I think this is great because I think we showed everybody about international cooperation, importance of the international corporations. And this is kind of like a bright side of humankind, where we can work together and accomplish very good. And also, this is kind of like a good vector to a bright future. So I think we were able to show us like a good example for everybody. And we are going to keep talking about our great experience. And hopefully people think actually our bright is bright, so bright. If people believe that, actually we can accomplish that. And if we're gonna actually keep working on that, even on the ground, I'm going to keep talking about our great experience. So thank you very much for your support.
Hello, everybody. I was really happy to be as a part of Crew 11. I had and I have super awesome crewmates: Zina Sensei, Michael San, Kimia Sensei, my commander, pilot, and me in this crew. And also I would like to say for you, thank you very much for your help and support during preparation, during flight, and I'm really happy. It was unbelievable, unforgettable increment for me. It of course was a first flight for me, and I'm happy to have you with me during this flight. And also I would like to say thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you, my country, Roscosmos, NASA, United States, and SpaceX. It's super opportunity for me to have this flight. And also thank you very much ground team in the all MCCs, Moscow, Houston, Tsukuba, Munich, Huntsville. Thank you for your great work and support. And thank you very much, everybody.
All right, thank you. And with that, we will go ahead and open it up for questions beginning here in the room before going to the phone bridge. As a reminder for those joining us on the phone bridge, you can press *1 to enter the queue and *2 to remove yourself from the question queue. When called on, please state your name and affiliation, as well as to whom your question is addressed. And with that, we will begin here in the room.
Thank you. I'm Mark Carreau with Aviation Week in Space Technology. With the space station nearing its end of life, I know there's been a lot of discussion about trying to get as much done as possible that you can do up there. And you had a pretty full agenda. I'm just wondering, even though you left a little bit early, do you feel that may have subtracted from the ability to do everything, or did you really charge on and get as much done as you could and leave? I know there's only 3 now for just a little bit, but do you think the desire to get as much done in the research and tech development will be interrupted very much by what happened?
So if I could just take that one. Our crew was a very productive crew, and our ground teams were amazing because they balanced everything based on what we could deliver, and to make sure that we had enough rest. And it was a very nice pace, and it was a lot of things to get done. And yes, we left, we came home about a month early, and that is going to affect the timeline a little bit, just because there aren't 7 people, there's 3. And but what's really neat is that our replan capabilities are great, and we're not missing anything that had to be done time critically. We're able to move things around. We still have 3 cargo ships on the USOS side, and I think 2 Progresses on board. So there is still a lot of unpacking and packing to do, just for the cargo operations. Not to mention, all of the science and everything else. We left a really capable crew on board. Sergei Kuznetsov is a great commander. Chris Williams came up and with great enthusiasm and willingness to learn. So we're in very good hands. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a difference in schedule, but we're going to be able to accomplish everything we need to do. When Crew 12 arrives, they're going to hit the ground running. But again, we have this down to a really nice system where our mission control teams, our planning teams, the space station program, all kind of take a good pulse and give us as much work as we can do. And we as crews try to deliver, and there's flexibility in the schedule, and that's what keeps the space station going. And yeah, there's still some more years left in our beautiful space station.
All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and go to the phone bridge for a few questions. First up, we have Anthony Leone with Spectrum News.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for taking our calls and questions today. With what happened up there, what type of suggestions would you recommend for future missions? And would each you, if you could you want to go back just to finish the mission the way you were hoping to? Thank you.
I hope to go back to ISS for so many reasons. It's just an incredible experience. And I think even though we had an unexpected timeline, there's so much that we are proud of and so much we did accomplish. Like Mike mentioned, we welcomed so many visiting vehicles. We had every single docking port full at one point while we were up there, which is just absolutely incredible. So we got a lot of research done, a lot of cargo transferred, setting up the space station for really the rest of its incredible career. As far as things we would do differently, I am very proud to say that we were as well prepared as we possibly could be, and that's thanks to a lot of really excellent training that we get on the ground, and just being up there with really excellent operators and people who come together as a team really goes a long way. And that's the crew on orbit as well as our ground support teams.
All right, next up on the phone bridge, we have Jonathan Seri with Fox News.
Thank you so much for doing this, and welcome home. For Zena and Oleg, how did your first space flight live up to expectations? I know you worked hard to prepare, but are there things that you just have to experience firsthand that stood out and surprised you? And for Mike and Kimia, how did your first flight on Dragon compare to the space shuttle?
For me, one of the surprising things was almost how unsurprising it was, if that makes sense. I felt incredibly well prepared thanks to all of the excellent training that we get here at Johnson Space Center, at our international partners, and at SpaceX. Of course, there are some things that you just have to experience for yourself, but for me, those were all a thrill and a joy. I actually enjoyed re-entry even more than launch. It was a lot of fun, and I'm very grateful that I got to experience that with this crew specifically.
I absolutely agree with Zena. Launch and re-entry was super amazing and active time. It was nice, and I was surprised how our Earth, our planet, beautiful, and it's most beautiful when we can see on the picture. I was surprised. It's big difference between picture and real view from Dragon's windows. What I saw first time after ascent, and no, I think that's all. And I also was surprised how my crew is great.
Shouldn't be big a surprise.
Yeah.
Yes. So last flight was like by Soyuz, and this time as a Crew Dragon. I was so surprised actually. Crew Dragon flight was so smooth and very comfortable, and just like future, like touch panels, like a very, cool future-looking, nice suits. Yeah. So I really enjoyed, but just differences. So I really loved actually both experience. So landing on the hard surface, that's also good. A little bit harder landing, but no shaking after landing, that's also good. soft landing, but after landing, shaking. That's also good. So I really enjoyed. Thank you.
So between flights, from Soyuz and Space Shuttle, I helped worked with the commercial crew program, and I was really glad to fly on Dragon. Of course, Kim Yasan and I were at one time going to be on Starliner. That's still going, but Dragon, wow. All the way from the launch, it was you could feel the Falcon 9 talk to you, and all the way up. It was hard to hear the Falcon 9 though, because I think there were some shouts of joy and giggles and things going on as we were launching and enjoying the experience, and that's such a human thing. And then coming back, Zena, Commander, made a brilliant choice of turning down the lights so we could see the plasma through the windows and orange glow. And I will say that it was the shuttle came in very benignly with its profile, and it was more of a pink glow. Soyuz has an ablative heat shield that really speaks to you with lots of different kind of fireworks, not in a very, very good way. It works great. And then and Dragon was somewhere in between. We hit 5 Gs on the way down, which the guy who flies fighter airplanes in me was like, yeah, this is it, when I could breathe. And then the splashdown was my first splashdown, and it was very nice. Yeah. I like splashdowns. So it would be great to compare notes with the Artemis crew when they have their splashdown, and we can compare splashdowns. And not very many people at the astronaut bar, space bar, right, will be able to compare splashdowns anymore. So this is going to be fun. And what a great crew. Hats off to you, Commander.
All right, next up we have Marcia Dunn with the Associated Press.
Oh, yes. Hi. For Zena, you were just one day away from making your first spacewalk when it was called off. How crushing was that? And also, if one or more of you could just talk a little bit about the medical equipment aboard the space station and how it did or didn't prove useful. Any recommendations on future first aid kits?
Yeah, for me, of course, spacewalking is something that we all train for, and we had multiple crew members on board who were qualified to do a spacewalk. It was absolutely something I was looking forward to do.
All right, so there you have it. Welcome home, Crew 11 from the International Space Station. They arrived splashed down 6 days ago. They had to come home early, and that is because one of the crew members experiencing a serious medical issue. But you saw the 4 there. Very excited about what they were able to accomplish. So they did some amazing things, and that they did a lot of research. And one of the crew members saying that he feels like their mission represents the bright side of humankind and serves as a good example for everyone. They did leave 3 people at the space station from other parts of the world. They are still there conducting experiments and doing some investigations and research. They were able to get a lot done, even though they had to come home early. So it's nice that they're home safely, they look good, and they're happy. Okay, we're going back to D.C. because we were following the hearing with the House Oversight Committee about the Clintons, Bill and Hillary Clinton, Chairman Comer wanting to hold them in contempt for not coming to testify about the Epstein case. The hearing a little while ago was a little lively, a lot of back and forth between the Republicans and the Democrats. Let's go back to that hearing and see how things are going now.
As in her official capacity as Secretary of State, she may have information regarding sex trafficking in general. But that is not unique to Mrs. Clinton. We could summon the, Special Undersecretary for Sex Trafficking at the State Department if we really wanted to find out information of that nature. Or we could summon any other Secretary of State who has served since 2008, I think, when some of this was first uncovered in depth, but it had nothing to do with the Secretary of State. Then it was between Mar-a-Lago and Jeffrey Epstein. It went from young girls being trafficked from Mar-a-Lago to Jeffrey Epstein's estate. And there's no nexus there between Donald Trump's club and the young girls that were trafficked to Jeffrey Epstein. There's no nexus there where the Secretary of State might intervene. So, with all due respect, I think her name was put in there because of the animosity with which the president regards her. And this goes back to, a political race between those two candidates, and has nothing to do with the information that Secretary Clinton might be able to offer. I want to hear from everyone who has information on this. However, we don't have a shred of evidence that Mrs. Clinton has meaningful information to assist this committee. But I know where there is evidence. I know Pam Bondi has had millions and millions and millions of documents that she has refused to surrender to this committee for the past 5 months, 6 months. I know where there's also other evidence. Sitting in a luxury prison, Ghislaine Maxwell, who should be before this committee, should never have been taken out of that original prison by President Trump's personal attorney, and by doing so made her less likely to be willing to offer testimony and evidence to this committee. That is witness tampering. When you take someone who's been convicted of a crime, remove them from uncomfortable settings, put them in a nice place, just keep your mouth shut, honey. That's all. That's what's going on there. We know that. All of a sudden, she gets a sweetheart deal. They're bringing in pets for her. They're giving her the royal treatment now. As long as you keep your mouth shut, honey. That's what they're saying to her. Just keep your mouth shut and don't mention the president. That's the scam that's going on here. That's witness tampering, plain and simple. And yet you have someone who served this country, Secretary of State, elected U.S. Senator, has nothing to do with this, but because it gratifies the president that you dust her up and ruin her reputation. This is beneath what we should be doing. We should strike the motion to summon her before this committee. We should drop this effort to hold her in criminal contempt. I yield back.
And with all due respect, if you didn't want to subpoena Hillary Clinton, the Democrats on the subcommittee should not have voted to subpoena Hillary Clinton.
Mr. Comer, can I clarify that?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I just want to be clear that we have the video. Committee Democrats actually voted no by voice vote.
You had an opportunity for a roll call and you declined it.
We voted.
You called for it, and then staff came to you and
actually,
you said,
Mr. Comer,
let's not do it.
Actually, you weren't there, so I actually don't think
Well, I watched the video too.
Would you like to show the video? I mean, the video is very clear. We actually all voted no. I just want to be clear that in the initial vote, all Democrats voted no. Thank you.
That's why we have recorded votes. And you all declined that. So, does any other member seek recognition? Seeing none. The question is now on the amendment in the nature of a substitute to the Hillary R. Clinton contempt report. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the amendment in the nature of substitute to the report is agreed to. The question is now on favorably reporting the Hillary R. Clinton report as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The amendment to the nature of substitute to the report is agreed to.
Recorded vote, sir.
A recorded vote was ordered. As previously announced, further proceedings on the question will be postponed. Pursuant to the previous order, the chair declares the committee in recess subject to the call of the chair. We plan to reconvene at 3:15. 3:15. The committee stands in recess.
Oh yeah, I guess.
He didn't say something was going on.
Yeah, because votes are not.
All right, some more lively discussion there with the House Oversight Committee over whether the Clintons should be have to testify before that committee about the Epstein case. You heard one Congressman Lynch really going to bat for Hillary Clinton and just thinking that this whole thing is just being done to politically mess with her, saying there's not a shred of evidence that she has any knowledge of the Epstein case, but pointed out that the person with knowledge is Pam Bondi because she has yet to completely release the Epstein files when she was supposed to do that by law December 19th. Okay, we're going to go to Northern Virginia, to a trial that a lot of people have been following, the au pair trial that you've heard a lot about. Brendan Banfield is on trial, and he is charged with 4 counts of aggravated murder in the deaths of his wife and another man. The prosecution has rested in this case, and the defense is now presenting its case. So let's listen in.
Commonwealth in this case.
So this case, I've the luxury of coming in at, after things had developed. The theory had already been assigned. Catfishing was already had been Mr. Banfield had been charged already and indicted under a catfishing theory when I was brought in. So that was my immediate focus. So confirm or refute that theory. As an investigator, whether I'm in my law enforcement capacity or now my private capacity, the facts don't change. The facts are the facts. Facts don't take sides. The truth doesn't take a side. So for me, just because I'm hired or asked to investigate one particular theory, it doesn't mean...
Judge, I would object at this time. This is non-responsive.
All right, I'll sustain as non-responsive.
Okay.
You want to ask your question?
Sir, in terms of what you did when you started this investigation into Christine Banfield's devices, what did you do?
So I started evaluating the devices, but at the same time, I reviewed other evidence that was available to me provided in the discovery. That would include witness interviews. That would include subject or co-defendant interviews. That would include social media type event like email, Instagram, Facebook, things of that, WhatsApp. So it's not all a device centric. It can be evidence provided by a service provider like Google or Apple. I reviewed all the photos from the crime scenes, the autopsies, the digital, the forensic science and Office of Medical Examiner. I reviewed all of the facts available to me. The best way to perform what I do is through all source
Judge,
analysis.
objection, non-responsive.
I sustain the objection.
Okay. So in terms of the items that you were just telling the jury that you review, did there come a time where you were reviewing and were able to arrive at conclusions?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And specifically, what date range or what period of time were you looking at?
So the window of time was from January 9th, 2023, specifically with regard to the catfishing, was from January 9th, 2023, obviously through the time of the event on February 24th, 2023. It did extend back a little bit further. For example, the discussion about the windows, that dated back prior to January 9th. There was witness testimony or subject interview, transcript information about planning that predated January 9th. So I don't just look at a time for digital forensics. It's important to look backwards for a certain relevant period to ensure that
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustain the objection.
Why would you look backward in a digital forensic analysis?
A single artifact, as we refer to them in digital forensics, it may not be informative, right? A single text message on this day may lack the context, but the 50 prior exchanges might help that context, right? That's relatable, and the communication after that might also help inform. So it's important to look backwards. It's also important to look forwards in digital forensics. And when we're talking about, in this case, the allegation of a conspiracy that lasted a period of months, I find from an investigative perspective that it's important to look at everything. Digital forensics, like any, I think, informative piece of evidence.
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustain the objection.
In the context of certain behaviors that come up through the investigative process, like, for example, when someone may have had their phone and their laptop and when someone would have been away from that, are those things that you look at?
Especially for events like that, what was happening immediately before the event is vital in determining attribution or who might have been performing what activity on a device.
Or saying in another way, would there be...
Objection, leading.
I haven't heard the question yet.
What would you do if there was a pattern of time that needed to be analyzed, or a time of day, or a certain day? How would you go about doing that?
Well, with the digital forensic tools that we have, the software that we have, we're able to visualize things in a timeline fashion. So I'm able to look at, or folks in my profession are able to look at what happened, both what the user was doing and what the system was registering, the computer system. So we're able to generally create a granular timeline that helps inform a decision or conclusion about whether a device might have been removed from one person and used by another.
Okay, now can you see the document that's on your screen?
I see Detective Miller's executive summary.
Yes.
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to review that?
I have.
Your Honor, can that be published to the jury?
It was not admitted into evidence.
Okay, I'd move it into evidence. As
Objection,
Exhibit
Judge, it's a
85.
hearsay document at this time.
I'll sustain the objection at this time.
Detective Miller testified to it.
If you want to approach. So I'll sustain the objection.
Mr. Litsky, I'm going to go to, sorry. Can you see something on your screen there, sir?
I can.
Okay. There's evidence in this case regarding window replacement that was communicated by Juliana Perez Magalhaes. Do you remember that?
I do.
Did you do a digital examination? Did you do a digital examination as to the allegations that she made with regard to window replacement?
I performed searches relating to that particular topic. I'm able to perform keyword searches as one of the search criteria. So I did perform searches related to that particular part of testimony, yes.
Okay, and was this part of the information that you'd received from our discovery and the data that came from the devices?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm going to have you look at the document that's on your screen. Can you, Your Honor, I'd identify this as Exhibit 86.
All right.
Can you look at Defense Exhibit 86 and explain what we're looking at here?
Judge, I'm going to object to any statements regarding what's contained in the document.
Are you moving it into evidence, Mr. Carroll?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection?
Yes, I would object to foundation. We have not been given any information about this
Sustain as
document.
to foundation, if you want to lay a foundation.
Sir, how did you find these documents and what processes did you use in order to find this information?
So based on the derivative evidence provided to me in discovery on this case, I analyzed, in this particular one, this came from Ms. Banfield's cell phone.
Judge, I'm going to object to that conclusion. Again, there's been no foundation laid, and we can approach and I can explain further.
Or you want to approach?
Sir, what was the raw data that you used in order to get this, and what system did you use to arrive at this?
This was from an Axiom portable case created by Detective Miller. An Axiom portable case is a derivative product from Magnet Axiom for digital forensic software, which performs mobile and computer device review, or facilitates mobile and computer device review and cloud review and all things digital. So the software is baked in. It's an executable program that comes from the main Magnet program. So Magnet permits digital forensic examiners, in this case Detective Miller, to create a derivative subset of his work that is able to be open on any Windows computer. So you don't need to have a software platform. It is a software platform.
And if you can tell the ladies and gentlemen, the juror, or Your Honor, we move that in as Cummels or
Same
defense
objection.
If we
exhibit.
could approach, please.
All right, that is the defense presenting its case in the Brendan Banfield case, the au pair trial. He's charged again with murdering his wife and another man in Fairfax, Virginia. Okay, so that includes Live Impact for 1 to 3 today. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you learned something and you enjoyed it. We will be back tomorrow, 1 to 3 o'clock, but make sure you tune in for 13 News Now at 4 o'clock. That's the next show that you will see right here on Live Impact, as well as on 13 News Now. Thanks a lot. I'm Janet Roach. Have a great afternoon.